Hi. I wanted to come on here real quick in between working. I wanted to talk about balance. That's a topic that's been coming up a lot recently in conversations that I've been having. And I wanted to talk about what that means and maybe ways in people can find that. It's important because it has a huge impact on us, right? So if you think about who we are or what we are. We are made up of mind, body, and spirit, right? Our mind is our brain, our thoughts, our belief systems, or our mind is connected to our brain. That's our physical aspect of our mind. But it comes down to our thoughts, our belief systems. It's pretty much the driver's seat in our life because through our mind and our brain and that's where we take action. We make choices. We have belief systems, which is basically the filter in which we engage our life through. And we develop belief systems based on experiences, whether that's people telling us things and teaching us things, or just things that we experience and we develop belief systems around them on our own, right? So that's our mind. Our spirit is basically our essence, our emotions, how we nurture ourselves, and our faith if we have it. And then our body encapsulates the two. So, needless to say, the balance, if you think about your mind, the balance would be okay, what are my belief systems around any particular topic? Maybe it's language, maybe it's words and what words mean. Maybe it's how I believe about myself or others. Because those belief systems, like I said, is the filter in which we engage our life through. If I believe I'm not good enough, then I'm probably not going to pursue my goals, right? It's going to hold me back. It's going to be a blockage of any potential energy to move forward. If I believe positive things about myself, then people may perceive me as more confident or willing to take chances or do things or put myself out there, right? And play it out however it works in your life. And we develop those belief systems, like I said, through experiences or how experiences affected us and how we internalize that, right? So sometimes, we believe, oh, my parents didn't love me or something like that, or this person didn't love me. And maybe they did or didn't, I don't know. But we may perceive that they didn't because we were expecting a certain type of behavior because maybe our love language is different than someone else. Maybe I'm the type of person that needs to hear it, and someone else is someone who shows it, right? Everyone's different. There's 5 love languages out there. It's if you think about it, it's words of affirmation, physical touch, gift giving, acts of service, and I think it's quality time, right? We all experience all of those things within our relationship dynamics. However, most of us gravitate to one or two of those things, and that's how we either express love or receive love, whatever the case may be. So if I'm a words of affirmation person who needs to hear it, which I'm not, but I'm just saying, and I'm with someone who likes to give gifts, I might feel unloved. Oh, well, you brought me a diamond necklace, right? That would be lovely. However, you never told me you loved me. So I thought you didn't love me, whatever the case may be. And this is the impact of our belief systems, right? It has a huge impact on the choices we make and the relationships we have or avoid, whatever the case may be. If I believe all men are scary or dangerous because of an experience I may or may not have had, that's going to impact the type of people I'm going to allow into my life, right? So it's just keeping in mind, these little things, they help. They might not be little in our lives, but what I'm trying to say is my examples help us to figure out and make those connections. Like, what are my belief systems? If when someone says, "Oh, you do great at that, you can do that," and my first thought is, "I can't do that," or I say out loud, "I can't do that," well, that's an indication that I might have a negative belief system about myself or my capabilities. We can usually figure those out if we just ask ourselves, why? Why do I feel that way, or why, or think that way? What happened? Or what is the thought processes or the belief system that's holding me stuck there, right? So that's the mind. Body, if you think about your body, you usually think food, exercise, right? That's balance. However, so is sleep, right? We need sleep. We need balance in those areas, because when we don't have enough sleep, or if we're under the weather and don't feel well, that makes us more emotionally vulnerable. We can usually get triggered faster when we are really tired or don't feel well or hungry, or what do they say, hangry? So it's called hangry for a reason, because we tend to get triggered into anger or irritability a lot faster if we're hungry. This is the impact of how the body can affect the mind and the emotions, the spirit, right? So, and then of course your spirit is the emotions themselves. How do I create happy if I'm looking for happy? Because maybe I just experienced something that made me really sad or angry or whatever the case may be. Then it's building in ways to create balance there. Sometimes that's through distractions. Distractions can be healthy and helpful. However, they can also be harmful if we're avoiding too much, if we're avoiding the problem and not solving it. And again, that can vary depending on the circumstances. Some things are best avoided, other things not so much. It's discernment, right? It's making those choices based on what's for my highest good. Am I doing things and engaging in behaviors that are healthy for me, that create balance? Or am I doing and engaging in behaviors that take away from balance and make me feel off center, right? And then if you think of emotions, you got to think energy. Emotions are energy. They are, this is why you can walk into a room full of people, say you're blindfolded and everyone's quiet in the room, but everyone in the room is really angry. You're going to pick up on that as soon as you walk in the room, because you're going to, every ounce of your body is going to want to back right out, right? And some people will sit there and say, oh, that's your sixth sense. That means you're psychic. Well, again, let's go back to belief systems, because not everyone believes in psychic or what that means. Some people believe in it. So I'm not going to say one way or the other, because I don't have all the answers. But what I am going to say is, if you think of, go back to the 90s when we had that, we didn't have it here, but I remember it really impacted India, the tsunami. And people were reporting after the fact how they had noticed that a lot of the animals a few days or a week ahead of time, I'm not sure of the time frame, were migrating up the mountain because they apparently sensed something. Now, you could say the animals are psychic. I don't know. I think they were just more in tune with their environment. And I believe that all humans have that ability too, to be in tune with your senses through mindfulness, through paying attention. That's why they say, like, if you lose your sight, usually your hearing will improve. Or if you lose your hearing, your sight might improve. Because we compensate, right? To find balance, to be able to navigate our surroundings, our environment. So needless to say, we're constantly looking to find balance. And that's something that's achieved on a day-to-day basis. Because if one day I didn't get enough sleep the night before, I might feel a little off balance the next day. Or if I wake up under the weather, but that was a day that I had planned to work out, well, I might need to build in a little flexibility into my life and say, okay, I was going to work out. However, if I'm thinking of my highest good here, self-care, right? That's part of balance. If I'm thinking of my highest good, it probably won't serve me to work out if I'm not feeling good, because my body right now needs rest because it's trying to fight something, right? So in any case, back to energy, emotion, it is synonymous, because it is It's something that we feel. So if you think of scratching a winning lottery ticket, right? Or someone giving you like amazing news, like you just want a trip to Hawaii or whatever the case may be. That might not be great for everyone, but most, I know I would be thrilled. I've been there, but it wouldn't be bad to go back. It was beautiful. A little warm for me, but I'll take it. It's still gorgeous. In any case, you get like news like that, like shocking news, and that could be positive or negative. Sometimes people get really bad news and they still have that visceral reaction because we feel it in our body, right? It's kind of like chronic stress versus acute stress. Acute stress can be exercise, right? It's a healthy stress. It could be an in the moment challenge, but then you go back to equilibrium afterwards. Chronic stress is when we're sitting with something day in, day out that is just taxing us physically, right? This is why people have stress headaches, right? It's called a stress headache for a reason. It's the stress, which is the emotion part, that brought on the headache. People can literally burn a hole in their stomach if they're in too much chronic stress. And chronic stress can diminish our immune system, which can then open us up to other vulnerabilities. So this is why it's important to find balance, to avoid certain circumstances like that. And we can't always, right? We can't help it if we're in the middle of a tragedy or something happens and it's really impacting us. You think, for some people, going through something like a divorce or any kind of major life change, or even just having babies, right? You have a baby. There's a lot of stress that comes with that, a lot of sleepless nights, which then increases our emotional vulnerability, right? So with regards to that, with the chronic stress, the balance would be trying to offset that. With regards to energy, feeling that in your body, you feel it. So again, I digress, but back to the winning lottery ticket or the free trip to Hawaii, right? We might feel that like, oh, we feel it bubbling up inside of us, and our urge is to scream or whatever, right? To say, I won, right? So that's the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy, if you want to talk science, right? Potential energy is the building up, right? So if someone makes me angry, I have choice, but I might make a fist, I might posture or whatever if I'm really, really angry. And maybe it's not someone, maybe it's I broke a dish or something. I don't know. It could be anything. But oh my gosh, I might make a fist, and that's the potential energy. It's building up, and then I punch the wall or whatever the case may be, which I don't, but and I don't mean to be aggressive. I'm just saying. So if I punch a wall, that's kinetic energy, the energy of motion. Whereas the potential energy is the buildup of emotion. I mean, not of emotion, but of energy, right? And again, if you're thinking in terms of energy and emotion being the same, you can see how that plays out in our body. And oftentimes people aren't even aware of that. Sometimes we just go through life thinking that we have no control. However, if you think of how this all plays out, usually something happens in our environment. If you think of a behavior chain, right? Something happens in our environment that triggers us, whether positive or negative, no judgment. And then we have thoughts about it, we have emotions about it, and that comes out in our body. And then we have urges, like I want to punch the wall to release this energy, or I want to jump up and down and scream in excitement to release this energy, right? However, if I'm in a library, that's probably not the time to scream, right? Or punching a wall is never really a good idea, because not only do we now have a hole in our wall potentially, or a broken hand, right? So urges don't always have to be behaviors, because if we engage, say we go ahead and punch the wall, then we have a negative consequence of now I have to dish out money to fix the wall and possibly my hand, right? And it happens, but there's other things that we can do to build in that balance so that we make other choices. Because then if all of a sudden now we have a bill to pay or a broken hand and we're in pain, that's another trigger, right? And we can quickly spiral down that rabbit hole if we're not paying attention. And that's where mindfulness helps us. Because at any given point, we're having thoughts, emotions, and we're experiencing that in our body, right? So balance is saying, how do I feel? What's going on right now? What are my urges? Are they in my highest and best good? Are they in my interest? Or am I potentially putting myself in harm's way? And then making choices around that, having discernment. We don't always get it right. But again, with balance, you have the yin and the yang. You have the good, the bad, the light, the dark, right? If you think yin yang, right, those are energies. The yin, I believe, is the feminine energy. And I'm not talking gender or sex. I'm talking about the energy itself and how it's at least historically been defined. Okay. So yin is typically feminine energy that's receptive, that's willing, that's passive, typically. Now, I'm not saying this is why I'm saying it's not gender or sex, because not all women are passive, right? Believe me, I know. Not or receptive. Sometimes we block things off for whatever reason. In any case, the yin is typically the feminine energy, and the yang is typically the masculine energy, which is active energy. It's more decisive. Typically, it's movement. If you had to categorize it with the other stuff, it's more the directive energy, whereas the feminine is typically the receptive energy. And again, like I said, it's not about gender or sex, because in any person, whether you're female, male, or any other gender, whatever you categorize yourself, the point is that we all can find balance by exercising both of these energies. Because if we have goals that we're trying to pursue, it's not going to serve us if we're not willing to put in the work, right? It serves us when we take an active role with our goals, which is more of the masculine energy. And again, everyone has both. It's just how it presents in you, and are you in balance? So are you taking an active approach with goals? Are you receptive to receiving love or to receiving, and again, I'm not talking toxic, I'm talking, healthy. What's in my highest good? What is healthy for me? And that's the balance, is that discernment with regards to the energies, with regards to what you're open to, and with regards to what you're not. And there's no judgment there. I'm just highlighting that, right? So it's kind of like wants and needs, right? Our needs are the responsibilities that we have to attend to in life. Kind of like what I was saying. It's not going to be good if we're all work, no play. Then we burn out, right? So we have to have play in there too, which is, some people will say, well, that's the play is the demon or the devil on your shoulder, right? And then you got the angels saying, no, don't do that. Whatever the case may be. The good, the bad, right? Those are just judgment words. And with language, much like I think I was saying before, I don't know, I was thinking anyway, we have different belief systems around language, right? So some people, the word good means something very different to other people. Yes, we have the agreed terminology in the dictionary, but we may have a different perception on what that means for me based on my belief systems, right? So it's being aware of that and making those connections within yourself so that you can then have more balance in your life, because then you'll be making more discerning decisions that are going to create that balance. Some people are higher energy and they can do more things and take on more at a time. Other people, they're more relaxed or chill and they can't do that much. They get to it in time if they're balanced in their energy, but maybe not as fast as someone else. And this is why it's good not to compare yourself to other people, because we all have our strengths and we all have our challenges. Chances are, if you're good at something, that we usually take that for granted, because oftentimes you'll ask someone, oh, what are your strengths? Oh, I have no idea. It's usually the things that just come easy to you, and we lose track of that over time because we take it for granted. If someone's just really good at math, or I don't know, maybe athletically inclined, or whatever the case may be, they don't see that as a strength because they see that as just part of who they are. Other people will perceive it as a strength. So when we find balance within ourselves and recognize our own strengths, our own challenges, and we actually work on that through mindfulness and recognition. First, you have to recognize it before you can do anything with it. And some things we don't need to do anything with. We just need to be grateful that we have it, right? Because not everyone does. We all have strength, even when we don't think we do. And we are what we perceive, our focus. If we are focused on what we don't have versus what we do, then our perception of life is going to be a perception of lack. If we're focused on what we do have and we show great gratitude for it, even just within ourselves, if we actually are happy when we see something, or recognize that, I'm not taking this for granted, then you might have more of an abundant mindset, and therefore you are going to perceive your life as abundant. Abundance isn't just money. Abundance is emotion. Do I feel it's balance and then some, right? Do I feel loved? Do I love myself? Self-care is huge, because self-care is how we balance out our spirit, right? If we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not filling our own cup, there's nothing to give anyone else. So sometimes people will put themselves last and everyone else first, and then they always feel stressed or overwhelmed or taken advantage of, whatever the case may be. And that's where boundaries come in. Boundaries help with balance. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes. It's all just choices. It's all experience, and it's all, what did I say in the last one? Mistakes are proof you're trying. It's all movement, right? It's okay to try. And it's okay to not always get it right. It's perception. Everything is an opportunity for learning. Whether you feel like you did something wrong or not, it's an opportunity to then learn from that. Why do I feel that way? What is it about that made me feel this way? Is it my belief system, or is it, chances are it's a combination of what you're experiencing and your belief systems around it. Spend time with that stuff. So many of us are so distracted by all the things that we have to do from a day-to-day basis that we don't spend time with ourselves and figure these things out. It's building in that time, whether that's through meditation or prayer or spending time in nature where we can relax. Animals, like hearing birds. Oh my gosh. There's actually been studies on that, and the impact that can have on your brain, and how it can truly release hormones in your body to calm you down. I don't know if it's serotonin, melatonin. I'm not sure. You'd have to look it up. But I do remember hearing that and being like, oh my God, I need to spend more time in nature. That's why going for a walk in nature is so healthy for you, because not only are you moving your body and finding balance in your body, but you're relaxing your brain too, which is important. Because a lot of people really can get lost in our thoughts, get lost in our emotions. And they're all there to, I guess some people can say, guide you. For me, it's just information, right? If I feel a certain way, I'm not going to make a judgment on that until I spend time with it to kind of figure out, why do I feel that way? And that's why it's good to not be reactive. Because sometimes we feel things so strongly that we must be right. We have to be right. Or that person must know I feel this way, right? Because we feel it so strongly. It's like, how does the whole world not know I feel this? Most people don't read minds, and not everyone is as perceptive on picking up other people's emotions or what's going on in their life. And that's where communication comes in and can help with balance, especially within a relationship. Communication is very important, as is our understanding of how we like to be communicated to, what are our belief systems around particular words, because words hold power. I remember hearing, and I don't know if this is true because I don't speak Hebrew, but I did hear someone say this one time, and it makes sense to me. So they said that the word faith in Hebrew text means to walk with God. Whereas if you think of the word faith in the English language, we typically see it to mean a belief in the unknown or the unseen. Those are two very different connotations, aren't they? So your belief systems around language and different words and what those mean to you based on your experiences can impact your communication with somebody. All the more reason to not be reactive when you're dealing with people. And that's how you find balance within relationships. So it's one way anyway, because we can create more problems for ourselves through reactive decisions or behaviors than if we just took some time to think it through, ask those why questions, right? Why do I think that? Why do I feel that way? Am I triggered based on what realistically happened, or am I triggered based on my own internal struggles, right? Is there healing that needs to happen? And usually whenever we're triggered, that means there is healing that needs to happen. But again, we don't always put those together. So needless to say, be mindful of the labels that you and the belief systems you have around them, because they do impact the choices that we make. Be mindful of how you believe about yourself and the language you use when you talk to yourself. Well, I talk to myself anyway. Be mindful of how you feel in your body. Do I feel like, it's kind of like when you're sick. I know the only thing I crave when I'm sick is chicken soup. Now, obviously, if someone can't eat meat or something, or if they're a vegetarian, then they're not going to want to eat chicken soup. But I'm just saying that, sometimes your body craves something. I know, like, when I was pregnant, I craved ice cream so bad. Oh my gosh, so bad. But I had a really great pregnancy metabolism, so it worked out for me. It was when I still craved ice cream after pregnancy that didn't help. But anyway, I wasn't being mindful. I did not have balance in my life at that time, probably because of the sleepless nights, because I nursed. So I was really initially the only food source. So anyway, that's another story. But my point is just be mindful of those things, and then also be mindful of how you feel emotionally. They're indications of how you perceive your environment. They don't necessarily, if someone makes me angry, they didn't necessarily do something wrong. I don't necessarily have to take action on that. However, I might take action on the sense that, okay, what was triggered in me and why did I feel that way? And what do I do about it? How do I find that healing, the balance, right? And healing kind of goes hand in hand with balance, because healing is acceptance of things that maybe we can't change. It could be grounding exercises. It's self-care, how we treat ourselves, right? It's taking ownership of negative thought processes and maybe challenging them or reframing them. Maybe it's positive affirmations that we repeat, but if you ever do those, you got to do them at least 4 times a day and not just one day because it takes a while for them to take hold. But they can be hugely impactful with regards to the neuroscience of your brain and reprogramming how you believe. Because again, our belief systems are the filter in which we engage our world through. It has a huge impact on the choices we make, which can impact the opportunities we may or may not have. I met one of my absolute closest friends because I had this inner calling to go introduce myself to them. I was in a new school in a new state. It was my freshman year of high school. I knew nobody. And there was this girl in my class. And I was like, I remember seeing her over by the bus and just really felt this urge to go over and say hi and introduce myself. And I did. And plus 30 something years later, almost 40 years, we're still friends. So we don't always know why we feel certain things, but in the moment, sorry about that. In the moment, that's where we make the discernment. Am I putting myself at risk by going and introducing myself to this person? Do they look sketchy or whatever? But again, is that judgment or is it discernment? When you say something like, did they look sketchy? You can't always judge a book by its cover. You got to observe, right? You got to take in the whole picture. Watch body language, watch movements, watch expressions, right? If you have that ability. Not everyone does. However, in any case, that's my little take on balance. You know, the yin yang, the good, the bad, the little devil with the little angel. I mean, we have to, the light, the dark, right? We're a mixture of both. Just don't let the dark get too dark, because then that's out of balance, and that can usually create problems for us. So hopefully that's helpful. In any case, I'll talk to you later. Bye.